And All Through the House is a Christmas-themed tale from the 1972 British horror film anthology Tales from the Crypt. The 1989 version of And All Through the House is a Christmas-themed episode from the HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. It was originally produced as the pilot but ended up airing as the second episode in a three-part premiere. And All Through the House 1972, adapted from the Vault of Horror. Joanne Clayton, played by Joan Collins, takes a dark turn on Christmas Eve when she kills her husband by hitting him on the head. As she tries to hide the body, she hears a radio report about a dangerous killer on the loose. Spotting the murderer, who's dressed as Santa Claus, outside her home, she realizes she can't call the police without revealing her own crime. Joanne finally decides to call the police after tidying up her mess, but her little girl, Chloe Franks, thinks the intruder is Santa and opens the door for him. He then starts to strangle Joanne right there in their home. And All Through the House 1989, in this Christmas-themed episode, the Crypt Keeper shares a tale while dressed as a creepy Santa Claus. The cabin's home is decked out with all the holiday decorations. The husband makes a sarcastic comment about the cheerful holiday spirit while reading the paper. The wife grabs the fire poker, but he insists on handling it himself. Out of nowhere, she ends up killing him with it. Their daughter, Carrie Ann, comes down to say she spotted Santa, but her mom tells her he's not around and takes her back upstairs, leaving the window slightly ajar. When Carrie Ann asks what her mom wished for, she replies that she already got her Christmas gift. Meanwhile, the wife tries to call her lover while clutching her husband's last will and testament, but he doesn't answer, so she leaves a message on the answering machine. The wife struggles to get her husband outside because he's really heavy and it's freezing out. She throws on a coat over her pajamas and heads out to dispose of the body. Christmas carols play softly from the radio. Meanwhile, there's an announcement about a heavy-set white guy dressed as Santa who escaped from a nearby mental hospital. This guy is dangerous and has a thing for killing women. As the wife drags her husband out, she misses the warning. The wind slams the door shut, locking her keys inside. She plans to toss Joseph into a nearby well. Just as she's about to do it, Joseph suddenly stirs, but she hits him, ensuring he's really gone this time. The audience notices an axe that's gone missing. Suddenly, the Santa guy attacks Elizabeth with the axe. She rushes back inside and calls the police, but since she hasn't disposed of the body yet, she doesn't give her address and hangs up. The crazed Santa breaks through the door, and she fights back with the axe, leaving him for dead. The phone rings twice, and she answers on the second ring. It's the police, advising her to lock everyone in the house. She hatches a plan to chop Joseph up and pin it on the crazy Santa. Unbeknownst to her, Carrie Ann woke up from the noise of the door slamming and the umbrella holder that kept it from closing, but when she doesn't hear anything, she just goes back to bed feeling let down. The wife can't chop up her husband since his body has gone completely stiff. She dials the police again, acting all frantic and claiming that a lunatic has taken her husband out. The operator tells her to secure all the doors and windows and find something to defend herself with. The wife suddenly remembers there's a gun on top of the wardrobe. When she goes to grab it, It's way too high for her to reach, and the door locks behind her. Peeking through a small window, she sees Terror Santa scaling the wall towards Carrie Ann's window. In the dim light, Carrie Ann spots her long-awaited Santa and even lends a hand to help him in. In a panic, the wife breaks down the wardrobe door and rushes upstairs. But Carrie Ann isn't in her bed or room. Instead, Carrie Ann calls out to the wife, thrilled that Santa Claus has finally come, and she reveals Terror Santa. The wife screams in terror. Wrapping it up, the Crypt Keeper reassures the audience not to fret. As Terror Santa didn't harm Carrie Ann at all, he only targets adult women. The 1972 short versus the 1989 short. Let's take a look at how the original version of Tales from the Crypt and All Through the House from the 1972 film stacks up against the updated take in the 1989 TV series' second episode. Both versions tell the story of a woman who kills her husband on Christmas Eve and tries to hide her crime, but things take a turn when a crazed guy dressed as Santa shows up. 1972, there's a lot to appreciate about this short film. Everything feels so subtle and thoughtfully done. Instead of telling us that the old man cares for his family, we see him tenderly placing gifts under the tree. The first sign that something's off is a striking shot of blood splattering on the newspaper he's reading when he meets his end. The woman, played by Joan Collins, coolly heads straight for the safe to check on his life insurance, revealing that her main goal is the money. What makes this part so eerie is the innocent child upstairs waiting for Santa. Completely oblivious to the chaos below, paired with the serene choral Christmas music that contrasts sharply with the violence. A lot of the movie is silent since the woman is busy trying to clean up a murder while her daughter is sleeping upstairs. Joan Collins really shines in this role, conveying so much through her eyes and expressions. When the crazy Santa shows up, you can see her panic as she glances at the body and realizes she can't call the cops until everything is sorted out. She puts in a ton of effort, scrubbing away the blood, dragging her husband's body to the basement, and staging it to look like an accident. Plus, she has to make sure the house is secure by locking all the doors and windows before Santa gets in. As she hustles, you can see the sweat pouring down her face, and she looks completely exhausted. Sadly, all her efforts go to waste when her unsuspecting daughter lets Santa into the house after waiting for him all night. Overall, this film has everything I love in a Christmas horror flick: murder, tension, solid performances, and a tight story wrapped up in just over 12 minutes. The only drawbacks are the old-fashioned decor and a not-so-scary Santa. This classic from Tales from the Crypt mixes sweet holiday traditions with chaos and ends with the bad guy getting what he deserves. 1989. This creature, decked out in a Santa suit and mask with its eyes and teeth peeking through, is straight out of a horror flick, way scarier than the actual episode. It kicks things off by reciting the start of Twas, the night before Christmas, to set the stage for the story. The house here feels way cozier and more inviting compared to the one in the original segment. Nat King Cole's smooth voice fills the air with the Christmas song as we take in the lovely decorations, cookies laid out for Santa, a massive Christmas tree, and gifts piled underneath. Instead of a warm-hearted dad, this one sticks around just long enough to mock the ending of Dickens' A Christmas Carol before his wife hilariously takes him out. While the original had a subtle, serious vibe, this version is practically a comedy. Everything is laid out in the open and exaggerated. The poker gets lodged in his head, and cartoonish sound effects play as she struggles to pull it out. She quickly calls her shady boyfriend, bragging about what she did and how they've hit the jackpot. The only real suspense comes when the girl heads downstairs to check things out, only to find her dad's body conveniently hiding his head wound. Will the body topple over when she sees it? The mom seems totally unfazed that her kid is staring at her dead dad, who has the most ridiculous expression and totally ruins the moment and just takes her back to bed. Unlike Joan Collins, this woman is constantly chatting to herself while trying to clean up the mess, haul the body outside, and toss it into a conveniently located well that I really hope no one uses. After a long while with a plastic bag over its head, the body springs back to life and goes after her. It's all so absurd and pointless. While she's caught up in her chaos, she misses the news about the escaped mental patient dressed as Santa, but she ends up running into him anyway. The psychotic Santa is way more intimidating and definitely more dangerous. But the woman, she makes some of the dumbest choices ever. For starters, she doesn't even check if he's really dead after she axes him, and she keeps stopping to check out every little noise, even though she knows the killer Santa is on the loose. Plus, she gets herself stuck in a closet. While hiding there, she totally freezes up and sees him climbing a ladder right outside the closet window. Seriously, why does a closet even have a window? Instead of grabbing the gun and taking a shot at him through the window, she just stands there with her mouth hanging open and screams. Come on. I actually had some respect for Joan Collins' character because she was smart, but this 1989 character is just clueless. The ending stays the same, even though they try to trick you into thinking he might come through the open window upstairs.
Hey, before you go, could you please like, comment, subscribe, share, and turn on all notifications? That means hitting the bell. Good day.